defeat would be devastating because, not only is the beef between me and Conor real and something that I wouldn't be able to stand, the defeat of on a personal level, I have to uphold my father's legacy. We're letting him down would probably hurt even more.
You get done in 3 rounds. 3 rounds. Put your money on it. Put your money on it.
If you watch that fight, you're watching a man being killed. This is a very dangerous vocation.
As the tension rises, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn move toward their rematch like two storms converging. Both warriors stay locked in, one determined to seize the crown, the other battling to keep it and reaffirm his power.
Eubank Jr. to box is because I was fearful of what they are doing to him right now. If you watch that fight, you're watching a man being killed. This is a very dangerous vocation. After the last fight, I was in the hospital with Junior 2 nights and 3 days. I saw where his life was.
The tension surrounding the Eubank Jr. vs. Conor Benn showdown stretches far deeper than a typical boxing clash. This fight holds a shadow of danger drawn from the fallout of their first encounter. Chris Eubank Jr. survived a punishing battle in their earlier meeting which left him hospitalized for 2 nights and 3 days. The harsh memory of that night is not forgotten. It hangs over him as he prepares for this return. This time, Eubank's camp shares that he is dealing with serious dehydration heading into the fight, a strain that has clearly impacted his health. Such physical pressure at this point highlights the risk woven into the sport, especially when a fighter's body is driven to the extreme edges of endurance.
Chris, fight week is here. How does your demeanor, your mentality change as we tick closer to fight night?
Fight week is easy. The hard work's done. The training, the sacrifice, it's all over. Now it's just about maintaining. Now it's just about kind of resting and getting yourself ready physically and mentally for Saturday. I'm ready.
When does that mentality shift? When does that click happen?
I mean, the click is, I guess, the last intense spar, which was Saturday. After that, all right? Camp is done. Now we just got to make the weight.
Mind games. Conor has admitted that you got in his head. Are you setting any traps that you're hoping Conor might fall into again?
If I am, I'm not telling anybody about it.
Do you think he's trying to play any games by being nicer?
Yeah, he's playing himself. People know who he is and what he's about. People see through the act. He's not a nice guy. He's not a calm guy. He doesn't like me. It's all a facade. It's all a defense mechanism. And it's not working for him.
We've just had the first face-off. Conor looked away first. Do you take anything from that?
He's looked away first every time we've ever looked at each other. He knows what's coming.
What's going through your mind when you're looking at him?
I'm calm. I'm at peace with whatever happens. I don't have anything to prove. The pressure's on him, not me. I mean, there's pressure on me, but nothing like what he's experiencing right now. He has to avenge.
Even with the obstacles building up to the showdown, Chris Eubank Jr. projects a steady sense of belief. He insists that he carries no pressure walking into the ring, shifting the weight of expectation firmly onto Conor Benn. Eubank's plan, as he explains, is to deliver his fight blueprint with calm, trusting that Benn must prove himself to regain pride and correct the outcome of the first clash. This mindset reflects a mental edge as he approaches the contest with a quiet focus, untouched by hype or speculation. Eubank Jr.'s remarks emphasize a measured strategy, showing a fighter conscious of his own assets while reading the psychological forces of competition. He is not simply fighting to claim a belt. He is entering a layered battle where pressure can easily shape performance. By placing the pressure back on Benn, Eubank is asserting confidence while also gently planting doubt in his rival's preparation. This mental backbone strengthens his physical readiness, though the dehydration issue remains a serious concern that could weaken even the best-formed plans. Chris, fight week is here.
He didn't get the win. You now have got some respect for him, but to go back in there now for a second time.
Listen, I done the best I could on the night. I done the best I could.
Yeah.
You know, it was my first fight back in the UK in 13 months. My first fight at 160. It was my second 12-rounder. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I sit there and I go, listen, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
I'd rather lose an exciting fight than win a boring fight.
Yeah. But what I'm saying in now, in the rematch.
Yeah, listen. As long as I do the best I can.
Yeah.
As long as I do the best I can.
Absolutely.
Which is, I believe I do a number on him. That's me just staying disciplined. As long as I do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Why I was disappointed and upset weren't because I lost.
No.
It was because I beat myself in there.
Yeah.
By not following tactics, by not fighting with my head, fought with my emotions. So I'm in there and it's just, I wasn't happy with what I done. If I can go in there and I'll be disciplined and do what I do and he beats me to the punch or he comes up with a recipe that can be fair enough, no problem.
Yeah.
Listen, I ain't going to be no sore loser.
So if you lose fair and square and you've given your best shot.
Well done, Chris. You're the better fighter. Give away even me giving away the weight. I ain't going to sit down there and go, oh no, that was my first fight back, 13 months, Chris. That was my first fight at 160. You won't hear me make up no excuses.
No,
I still thought I'd render you unconscious within 3 rounds. That was what I genuinely believed.
Yeah. You've nicked that line off me, haven't you?
You
love the render unconscious.
Have you said that before? I wouldn't know.
Only a couple of times. What was going through your head when you saw Chris and Eddie Hearn at the press conference going back and forth at each other?
It's funny.
Do you sit there to laugh at you?
No, it's funny. Yeah. It's funny because I'm sitting there going, Ed, why are you arguing with him? Why are you lowering yourself to his level? There's no need.
Don't you like Eddie getting a bit of stick, or do you like?
No, there's just no need. Let him just waffle on. Let him dig his own grave.
He bit though, didn't he, Eddie? He had a little. He had to go back.
But to be fair, when you're accusing a big organisation.
Conor Benn talking alongside Carl Fruck looks back on his path from that first battle to this rising rematch. Ben admits he poured out everything he had in their early meeting. Yet he steps away from that moment without holding heavy disappointment. His mindset shows a calm maturity and quiet acceptance of past results, letting him lock in fully on preparing for the rematch. This clarity becomes vital, because gripping frustration or regret might easily slow his performance. But Ben's promise of feeling truly ready reveals a mental reset. Ben's approach stands as a lesson in discipline and resilience. By shaping his earlier performance into a steady learning experience rather than a failure, he places himself within the shifting Eubank family storyline.
Fight first time, and for the rematch back in 2022, you claimed promoters were trying to murder your son, Chris Eubank Jr., regarding the weight clause. You called your son a disgrace for slapping an egg in Conor's face earlier this year. In spite of all this, you surprised many in April by turning up and you were in Junior's corner. What would you say to people who'd suggest that Chris Eubank Sr., you're something of a hypocrite?
It's easily explained, so let me start. Within every individual, there are 2 entities. There is the ego, or the negative, and there is the good, or the super consciousness, or the God consciousness. Those 2 entities are within the one. I would have bet money that the fight wasn't going to happen. When he slapped the egg into the face of this young man in the face of Conor, I didn't bring him up like this. You're representing my name. I've worked hard to keep these statutes and so these standards. And so I was very, very disappointed. And as you would have seen, and as the public saw, I was not turning up to that fight, but that was my ego. Remember, within the one person, you have 2 entities. Now, because I've submitted to the superconscious, or the God mind, or the good mind, because I've submitted, it always wins. And so effectively, it set me up.
The shadow of dehydration has emerged as a central theme in conversations about Eubank Jr.'s preparation. At 36 years old, his body no longer carries the effortless resilience of youth. The extreme weight-cutting rituals demanded for this fight paint a perilous picture. Critics claim that Eubank Jr. is chasing financial gain over enduring health, a tension familiar in the arena of professional boxing. The physical strain of dehydration brings drained endurance, clouded thinking, and heightened risk of injury, all stacking the danger for a fighter in his later years. Eubank's choice to face this stage despite the peril reveals the ruthless stakes of professional boxing. Athletes continually wrestle with the push between dreams and physical boundaries. For spectators and commentators, it is a stark reminder that beneath the dazzling spectacle of sport lies very real human vulnerability.
The limit on the day, I think the limit was 170 and I came in like 169.7 or 0.4. So yeah, I had to watch what I was eating, watch what I was drinking, couldn't fully hydrate. And we made the weight and I didn't get fined another $500,000.
Will you allow Eddie Hearn to speak on Thursday?
What do you think?
My guess is no.
It's a good guess.
Nigel Benn explains that Chris Eubank Jr. is battling dehydration because of the strict rehydration rule before the fight. Eubank had to shed a massive amount of weight to make the limit and is now barred from regaining it, leaving him physically drained. Nigel argues this scenario favors Conor Benn, who naturally carries less weight and avoids harsh cuts. The conversation has grown into a heated point with Nigel emphasizing that Eubank is the one jeopardizing his health through extreme dieting and restricted recovery, turning the entire situation into something both unfair and dangerously taxing for him.
Anyway, where he could put on £10.
Yeah.
Did he put on £10? No, he put on £8.
That's
So
fascinating.
why are we all yeah, but why are we all saying like, oh, he's struggling to make the weight? If you're going to put weight on, you're going to put that £10 on. He weren't struggling to make weight. He's been doing, and you know what? Because the reason why, they never said it all through all of these fights. But because he's fighting Conor Benn at welterweight, oh look, he's struggling to make. Oh, he's going to find load of rubbish. Load of rubbish.
That's a fascinating insight. I never ever knew that. That's definitely a question for him if I forget to ask him why he didn't put on 10.
Yeah, that's right. Well, then you can ask him when you see him. But you know what I mean? But it's just like I always look for the sympathy, folk. Going to the hospital, my toe now coming up. We're stopping him from getting there. And you heard me, if you watch on TalkSport today, he was in the hospital before me and Conor. Then when me and Conor come, 50 yards away was Chris Eubank with Chris Sr. So we were there. He was there before we got there. So what's a sympathy vote again? It's not washing. Not washing.
Do you think it's part of the whole drama, that like the whole character of the Eubanks?
Listen, that's right. Can you see there's always drama on that side, never on us. We don't say nothing. We prepare for the fight and that's it. We ain't saying like, this is about him putting on 10 extra pounds. No one ain't thought about Conor moving up 2 weights to fight.
Recovery is another crucial element in assessing Eubank Jr.'s readiness. Though he has mended from the injuries of his last fight, the natural aging process slows healing and the cumulative wear from years of high-level competition lingers. Public concern makes sense as Eubank Jr.'s age stands in stark contrast to Conor Benn's younger 29-year-old frame. Age shapes not just recovery pace, but also stamina, reflexes, and the ability to withstand repeated strain. The contrast between the fighters' ages sets up a story of experience versus youth. Eubank Jr. brings a deep reservoir of experience that can provide tactical edges. Still, his body remains more susceptible to stress and physical limitation.
Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn was scheduled for the 8th of October 2022, and they had agreed to a weigh-in weight of 157 pounds with a 10-pound rehydration clause on the morning of the fight, meaning they couldn't weigh more than 167 pounds on the morning of the fight. I have to say to you that that is absolutely insane that Eubank Jr. ever agreed to this. Eubank Jr. is 36 years old now, and so 4 years ago he would have been 32. I understand that that would have been a bit easier at that point in his life, but for him to make a weight like that, when he's fought as high as 168 pounds in his career, he's clearly quite a big 160 pounder, even though I do feel that is the correct weight division for him, or has been. To agree to fight at 157 pounds is incredibly dangerous. And just to give you the full understanding of what that number means to Eubank Jr., his father said before the fight that actually happened between him and Conor Benn.
Why is it that you feel so strongly that this fight won't happen?
Why? Because my son, who is walking around now at probably 180 pounds, will have to boil himself down to 160.
Knowing this makes that weight seem absolutely crazy. Now look, that fight got cancelled, and I'd say lucky that it did, because I don't think that weight was right, and things that unfolded after that told us that that weight was actually dangerous for Eubank to be making. And despite the fight being cancelled, he basically made the weight. On the morning of the fight, he created a video that showed us he was only a couple of pounds over the weigh-in weight. I can only assume he did this to make a point, to show that he was disciplined in the wake of Conor Benn's failed drugs tests. But the impact it took on his body was significant. as he then went in there only a few months later against Liam Smith in January of 2023 and suffered a
The final element of this high-stakes puzzle is Conor Benn's required performance. Though younger, he confronts the daunting task of matching Eubank Jr.'s preparation and steadfastness. Benn must bring his absolute best, as Eubank's past showings have set a lofty standard. Success in this rematch relies not just on physical strength, but also on tactical awareness, mental resilience, and the ability to adapt under pressure. If Benn secures victory again, it would confirm his skill and cement his status as a leading contender in this division.
Energy and effort. This takes a lot of people putting their heads together to book venues. Everything was locked in. Then Eubank apparently goes, nah, I'm not going to fight so soon because that's when you want to fight. Bullshit, my guy. You don't mess around all of those people just for the sake of trying to piss your opponent off. There's no way. I think there's a few things. He took a big fucking beating in the last fight. He was really in a bad way, actually. The recovery of that would have taken a while. Then, you know, after such a grueling fight, do you want to get in the gym and push yourself to such a degree? Or do you want to give yourself an extra couple of months just to rest? And then he also loves the fucking poker and he loves going away in Vegas and all of this shit. Have a bit of fun. And he's never been someone who's wanting to fight all the time. This whole, I'm a driven fighter and I love winning and that. Yeah, he obviously wants to win fights. But Eubank's never been the guy who fights because he loves the fighting. He loves the lifestyle it provides him with. And I think it says a lot that Conor Benn was keen to get in there sooner rather than later, and it was Eubank who pushed it back.
I'll fight you right now.
I'm ready for Sep 2020.
But I was ready for whenever. I'll fight you now. I'll
This
fight you
kid
tomorrow.
wants to fight Sep 2020, so you know what? We're not going to do it.
Again, Eubank is lying. And he's lied quite a lot already. We've fucking been watching it 2 minutes. And I don't mind it, by the way. You're trying to win a war of words, but it's clear that he is happy to hide the truth in order to just...
Benn's challenge is not simply to win, but to prove his evolution as a fighter since their first encounter. The rematch carries stakes beyond the ropes, shaping reputations, legacies, and the eyes of boxing fans around the world. Both athletes must navigate internal and external pressures, from physical strain to relentless media attention. In the end, the result will reveal a blend of preparation, fortitude, and strategic acumen, marking a defining chapter in both fighters' careers.
So I have him as a favourite, but I think this is very, very close. Very close. Like, I've said that if Conor almost doesn't start like a crazy madman like he did and just sort of has energy in the last 4 or 5 rounds, then he will come on so strong. Just because he's younger. This isn't a case of me picking Conor over Eubank. He's just younger. It's a young man's game. It's a young man's game. Although Usyk and Crawford and Bivol and Beterbiev will tell me elsewise. But it's a young man's game. So look, I think Eubank will get it done, but I would not be surprised if Conor nicks this. I would not be surprised if Conor nicks this 115, 113, or could he nick it on a late stoppage? Nah, I don't think he stops Eubank. So, gun to the head, I'm saying Eubank favourite. This is very much me fence-sitting. Eubank favourite. Wouldn't be surprised if at 11:30 I'm speaking to Bellew in Frampton and saying, wow, Conor Benn just beat Eubank. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Or is that me just fence-sitting a little? Probably is fence. Guys, I've got to fence it a little bit. I'm seeing both guys in about an hour's time. That's a lie. 3 hours time. And then I've got to see him at the presser, see him at the weigh-in. And, they start to give me a little shit for saying, you picked him and you picked him. So, Chris favourite. Conor could nick it. We leave it as that. Undercard fights are incredible, by the way. And I really do mean that. I think in terms of the implications of a couple of those undercard fights, like Sam Gilly versus Ishmael Davis. Ishmael, regardless of how he's lost 3 in a row. You can't lose 4 in a row. You lose 4 in a row, it's big problems. Big problems.
That's it for today's episode. Stay tuned for what comes next.